Hi, everyone, and welcome to Soul Talk with Sonia. So, today we are talking about The Weight is Killing My Flesh. So, this is my other book. It is available on Amazon, and so we're going to talk a little bit about waiting. All right, so I'm going to read a little excerpt from it, and then we'll go from there. When we first give our lives to Christ and pray, it seems like we get our prayers answered instantly. Then one day, our prayers are not granted so quickly. We are in a waiting room. We may even panic because we're not used to this. Then we begin to analyze and try to process what is going on and make sense of it all. The truth is that watches and calendars do not exist in heaven. You're probably waiting on something right now in your life or about to enter a wait. So many times we put a time limit on God. He is not on our timetable. You must give up your timeline or you will be sadly disappointed. All right. Another line I want to read is God is a God of timing, not a God of time. All right, society. Society puts a lot of pressure on us to meet these deadlines, these age deadlines. Finish college at 21, married at 25, babies by 30, all of this stuff. And then we have pressure as women to have a baby by a certain age. I was in shock when I'm 28, I go to the OBGYN and she was talking to me about, oh, you're getting older and you think about having a baby. So that was my first experience with the OBGYN talking about having a baby, and I felt like she was putting pressure on me. So I kindly educated her that I am not married and I'm not having a baby and I'm not married. So when God sends my husband, then we will work on that. But until then, we don't need to discuss that it's time for me to be thinking about having a baby. Oh, I was just. So I've had to have that conversation with multiple OBGYNs. So I didn't stop going to her because of that. I stopped going to her because I couldn't find her anymore because we had good rapport after that. Oh, I'm single too. I know that is, girl. See, she had to give the speech because that's her job as an OBGYN. And I wasn't mad at her. I was first in shock, like, is she really having this conversation with me? And that's okay. She doesn't know me. She doesn't know my values. She doesn't know my beliefs. So let me educate her. And so that's what I did. But as women, and I know maybe some men watching, we have like this extra pressure to do certain things because we're females, right? And our biological clock is timing, is ticking. And I think that's when, as women, we get a habit of these age deadlines that we are supposed to be. And then we get into this comparison trap because we compare ourselves with other people. So that's why I say in heaven, God has no huge calendar. He doesn't have a world calendar. He doesn't have a timer. He doesn't have a clock. He is time. He created time. And He's about timing, not time. You know how you leave the house late, can't find your keys, and you get somewhere and you see someone you hadn't seen in a long time. If you had been a minute, a second on time, you would have missed seeing this person. So God perfectly put you in a position where you can see that person. That's timing, right? So we have to get rid of the deadlines that we have put on God, that we have allowed society to put on us. We have to get to a place of acceptance. That's step 5 in how to wait with God. You have to get to a place of acceptance, or else you're going to be frustrated, irritated a lot being in the waiting room. The waiting room is to grow you. It is an opportunity for you to grow closer to God. It increases your faith, your trust in Him. But if you're so focused on this, get me out, you're not going to learn the lessons. And this impatience prolongs your wait. When you are in a hurry, impatient, God says, oh, Sonya's not ready. That's prolonging your wait. So you might as well get your iPad, your paper, your pen, your laptop, and take notes as you're in the waiting room. The waiting room is not to punish you. It's not a punishment. Sonia, that's what I thought. God, you're punishing me. God, what is this? God, what are you doing? I mean, I was a mess. And God is saying, if you sit still enough and you get your pen and paper, I'm going to teach you what you need to know so that you can grow. And once you grow, then I will release you. I will open the exit door and you can leave the waiting room. So the question is, what is God trying to teach you? You don't know what He's trying to teach you. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be in the waiting room, except from a book. So you have to get a different perspective. Okay? Accept that I'm in the waiting room. Because sometimes you may not know. I didn't know. I was like, this is so unusual. This is what is happening here. Oh, snap, I'm in the waiting room. I had, it's in my book, so I went to have a mammogram. I had to get I had to come back and they had to look at my right breast 3 times. Then they said, oh, we need an ultrasound. Oh, we need an MRI. So all of this is going on. You know, you have to wait in between these appointments for results. So I sat on my bed and I said, wait a minute. This isn't making any sense. I said, God, what is going on? Because they weren't finding anything. And I said, God, what is going on? He says, oh, very, matter of fact. Oh, this is for your book. My book? I said, God, can we have sent them a DM, an IM, an email, a text? I had to go through this for a book. That's how special you are to God. God will use you to help somebody else. You're like, why am I going through? You're going to come out fine. But you wonder why? Why me? We go into these pity parties. Why I have to be waiting this long? Why? So-and-so, that's a comparison trap. Don't do it. So-and-so blessed, so-and-so got a promotion. What about me? God is saying, hey, you, can you do me a favor? Can you stay in your lane? Because if you don't, you looking at somebody else's lane about what they're doing, what I'm doing in their lives, you're going to crash. Bam. Stay in your lane. What is God trying to teach you while you're in the waiting room? Waiting room is about your growth. He's not punishing you. He loves you. But you have to grow. You have to mature. The fact that you're saying, but so-and-so, oh, she not ready. She not ready yet. I don't know, waiting room. You're impatient. Oh, so you decide to do certain steps. Oh, okay, guys, okay. It's prolonging your wait. Don't do it. You have to surrender to the process. First, acknowledge, oh my goodness, I'm in the wait. This is a wait. Then you have to surrender, get your paper and pen, and learn some lessons. I'm going into the steps, which I'm trying not to do, but there are 5 steps to when you're in the waiting room. But this time gonna jack you up. What I had to do, I had to surrender the timeline, the deadlines, the calendar, the timer, because God He wasn't working with me. It just, God, I want this by such and such. God's like, I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm gonna give it to you when I deem that you're ready for it. Because if God gives it to you out of your season, you're not gonna keep it. It's not gonna go good. And God doesn't want you retaking tests. He wants you to take it one time and pass it. It's okay if you have to take retakes, but why take a retake when you don't have to take a retake? That's time and energy you're spending. So it's giving up your will for these deadlines and timelines and all this stuff. And saying, God, well, you know what? I got to surrender to the process. Whenever you're ready for me to have such and such, I'll have it. In the meantime, let me focus on my purpose. Let me do that. So, the weight. If you let it, it will become a weight, a WEIGHT, which is a burden. When you're in the waiting room, it shouldn't be a burden, but you make it a burden when you don't have the right perspective. So I know you 35 and you're like, God, I'm hitting 40. Where's my husband? And I want to have kids. And God, did you know that if I am, when I get pregnant, I have a geriatric pregnancy? God, I'm too young for geriatric. And you going on and going, let me tell you something. You might as well submit to the process. So God don't care. Listen, if Sarah had a baby at 90, do you think do you think God is tripping because you're 35? God don't care nothing. I had to learn this. I'm teaching you what I learned because this is what I said to God. God, do you know that I'm such and such? And I started doing the math. God ain't thinking nothing about what I was talking about. He don't care nothing about no time, no age. He cannot comprehend age because he's time. He's gonna be here forever. So when we tell him our age, he like, what did she just get that for? I don't get nothing about no age when I'm time. And we keep wanting to rush out of the waiting room. I was like, you might as well sit down somewhere and learn these lessons and grow. Because until you do that, you're going to be right where you are. And don't prolong the wait. That don't even make sense. You already don't want to be in the waiting room, and you're going to prolong it. So I've had these aha moments, and thankfully God was talking to me the whole time. Now, there were some times when he was quiet, and I think because he wanted me to marinate on what he said, but he was right there with me. There are times when God will be silent, like Job. He didn't speak to Job for a long time because him and his friends were analyzing, friends, in quotes, really his friends. They were trying to figure out why all this calamity happened to Job. And so God was silent the whole time. Oh, but when he spoke, he spoke. And Job said, paraphrasing, I thought I knew God before. But when he came out the waiting room, he got double for his trouble. He's like, God, I know you on a whole nother level. His faith grew, his trust grew. And God is like, I've been trying to tell you. You've been trying to figure it out. And you couldn't figure it out because you were so busy analyzing. You wasn't really seeing, you were not zooming out to see the whole picture of what was really happening, what I was really doing. So get rid of the analyzing, trying to process this all. You just in the waiting room and learn the lessons. So you need this. The weight is killing my flesh. It's going to help you as you're in the waiting room to really get what you need. And don't try to get up prematurely because it's just not going to work in your favor. Thank you so much for tuning in. The weight is killing my flesh. Soul Talk with Sonya on Amazon. See you soon.